So hello everyone, welcome to my presentation, my paper, the link between the UN Sustainable Development Goals and social sustainability in the UK construction industry. My name is Greg Watts and that's my picture, my email, just there if anyone wants to ask me any questions at any time or in future. So jumping straight into the paper, it's all around sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals. So sustainability itself can be defined as the ability for development to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability to meet future demands and future generations to meet their own needs. And it's generally a very ambiguous definition. So sustainability has been growing in importance over recent years, but with it has grown this ambiguity of what it means to different people. Now, to try and tackle this and try and move this concept on further, we've got these Sustainable Development Goals. So launched by the UN in 2012, these 17 goals, they built upon the Millennium Development Goals that were released in the year 2000. And they serve to really bring to the forefront of everyone's mind, the minds of industry, minds of international governments and bodies, that these are the important goals. The UN think these are the important underpinning issues that need to be addressed. And there's links between each of these goals. So by addressing one, we could also address another, and we do indirectly address another. And so there is links, but it's really calling for action for companies and governments to get involved and to start targeting all of these globally significant problems. So work between developing and developed countries, work between SMEs and larger national, international companies, and then work between the public and the private sector to try and address these things. So ultimately, they are of a quantitative nature. So these 17 goals have underneath each one a lot of targets. So in total, there's 159 targets. Underneath each of these targets, there's indicators. So we have 330 indicators. So it's trying to really put a stake in the ground and say these are the the quantitative aspects of this qualitative subject that is sustainability. But there's still that conflict there because despite these indicators, people still have their own interpretation of what they are and what they mean. And so this battle still plays out between ambiguity and trying to name and define. So it's really a battle between subjectivity and objectivity within the sustainable area, and that's where this research is positioned. So it's set within the construction context, and the industry itself, well, I'm talking now about everything that encompasses the life cycle of the built environment. So design, construction, maintenance, demolition, reuse, etc. of assets, infrastructure, engineering projects. And ultimately, construction is imperative and vital to the world. To all international, all countries are international, all national agendas. It's a massive impact. It operates fully in the public eye, and it has got a bad historic reputation. And so ultimately, it's under more pressure than most industries as well to really show its environmental credentials. But it impacts massively in the UK. It's nearly 9% GDP, so £99 billion, workforce of over 2 million people. So it can directly and indirectly play a massive part in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Recently, the UN released a publication saying that the target for the goals in the year 2030 might not be achieved. We're behind schedule. They really need governments, industries, big international companies, small companies to start playing their part. And so the construction industry is really in a good position if it wants to be, to really play a significant part in achieving these Sustainable Development Goals. And the call is out there now for the industry to step up and for it to really try and make a positive difference. But what is the problem this paper looks at? Well, it's unknown if the construction industry professionals are contributing to or restricting the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So it's all around the awareness. This is looking at the awareness of construction professionals, their knowledge towards these goals, their perceptions of these goals. And this inductive study with semi-structured interviews looked at how and why they interpret and how and why they understand and address the development goals as they do. And it's looking to better inform our understandings of practices, what we do, so we can hopefully build and enhance them in future if we needed to, or where we are currently situated in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And as I said, there's this conflict where we positioned between the subjectivity of sustainability and the objectivity of the development goals themselves, being very specific at trying to be with these indicators. So what I actually did in this research, took this constructivist ontological position and ultimately set out to gain qualitative data through semi-structured interviews. 40 emails were sent to try and arrange interviews, 9 phone interviews were conducted, process narrative analysis were then undertaken, and it was with 1 building surveyor, 2 construction managers, 2 PMs and 4 quantity surveyors. So what did the results actually show us? Well, firstly, it showed us that when we're looking at the awareness of construction professionals, those in green are the ones, the Sustainable Development Goals that these professionals knew of or could guess or could guesstimate that this area would be included. So there must be something around equality, for example, people said, or I'm guessing reducing inequalities, or I'm guessing targeting climate action would be an issue. So they're correct. They couldn't name all of them exactly, but across 9 people, 9 goals were arrived at, which is not the best, really. So obviously 9 goals were arrived at, 8 they didn't even guess, didn't think of, couldn't mention at all. Not one person said zero hunger was a goal. Now, if they had more time and sat and thought about it afterwards, they might have been able to name it. But in the interview, they only thought of these 9. So generally, 9 people coming up with 9 goals together is not the most positive, if you like, but there is some awareness there. But generally, the awareness, I feel this research shows, is not that high of Sustainable Development Goals. The concept and the idea and the perception and the belief all around development goals, all around the idea of sustainability, was very high. Everyone was very motivated, very passionate, wanted to be sustainable, wanted the industry to be more sustainable, thought the industry was doing good things already, but it's just the awareness of the specific goals wasn't there. So what does this mean with this conflict, if you like, between these two aspects, that people have a very high enthusiasm and motivation for achieving Sustainable Development Goals, for being sustainable, but they actually don't have that much knowledge of specific Sustainable Development Goals? Well, it causes the industry not to be as productive as it could be, which this sideways arrow represents, that it's pulling itself left and right, that we have got this positive enthusiasm, we've just not got the education, the awareness of Sustainable Development Goals. So we are making progress and making good progress against some areas, and in some areas what we're planning on doing, these overlap and sometimes purely by accident fall within a category of a Sustainable Development Goal, even if the professionals weren't actually aware that's what they were doing, it was classed under a goal. But generally we could do more, and increased awareness, increased perception and education around Sustainable Development Goals would then build on this enthusiasm we've got and help us focus and tailor and target what we do, and more specifically to make more dedicated progress towards achieving these goals. So thank you very much for a quick summary of my paper there. If you've got any questions, just email me or ask questions now at any time. Thank you very much.